Welcome back. Today, we need to talk about that incredible match last night. It was absolute tactical perfection on the field. That is what makes this game so special.
So is Kylian Mbappé just a selfish diva who absolutely refuses to do the dirty work? Or is he actually a perfectly tuned machine executing a highly specific tactical role? Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the fascinating debate surrounding football's most polarizing superstar as we gear up for the 2026 World Cup. We're going to break down the data, hear from the managers, and unpack his incredibly turbulent recent history to finally separate the myth from the machine.
All right, let's start right at the absolute center of this controversy. Just listen to this incredibly blunt assessment from France manager Didier Deschamps. When journalists ask him point blank about Mbappe's refusal to track back on defense, he didn't dodge the question at all. He faced it head on, essentially telling everyone they just need to adjust their expectations, stating clearly that if you want him covering 11 kilometers a match, don't even bother asking, because he simply won't do it.
Which leads us to part one, the work rate debate. You see, the paradox here is just glaring. On one hand, you've got media outlets constantly labeling him as selfish. They point to his lack of defensive effort or those international breaks he skipped to manage his physical workload. But on the other hand, the managers actually standing in the dugout see it totally differently. Deschamps, for instance, calls him a true captain who is absolutely adored by the younger players. He argues that modern football analysis makes this huge mistake of equating sheer distance run with actual on-pitch effectiveness.
And you know, it's not just his national team manager going to bat for him. Legendary Real Madrid boss Carlo Ancelotti systematically dismantles that whole negative narrative. He pointed out that behind closed doors, Mbappe has zero ego. None at all. He said he integrated seamlessly with his new teammates right from the jump. So, the actual insider picture paints a deeply dedicated professional, not some detached superstar.
All right, moving on to part two, leaving Paris behind. To really understand where all this intense media scrutiny came from, we have to trace his incredibly messy, highly publicized exit from Paris Saint-Germain. Back in July 2023, things totally boiled over. He refused a contract extension and was famously excluded from their preseason tour in Japan. Basically, he was put up for sale. Then, by February 2024, he formally tells the club president he's out, which ultimately culminates in that massive free transfer to Real Madrid in July. I mean, it was an absolute media circus for a solid year.
And using Mbappe's own words, right around the time of that transfer, we really get a sense of the emotional core behind all this drama. He explicitly stated that PSG management told him, and I quote, violently to his face, that he wouldn't play again. He actually credited Luis Enrique and Luis Campos for literally saving his career there. It was just a remarkably toxic environment for a player of his caliber to be dealing with.
Which brings us to a mind-blowing number. His staggering €125 million signing bonus to join Madrid. Now think about it. When you secure a bonus of that magnitude, on top of an annual salary nearing €20 million, the media expects nothing short of absolute perfection. That kind of money puts every single perceived flaw under a massive microscope.
So let's look at what happened next, in part three, Madrid's goal-scoring machine. Because despite all that off-pitch noise, his on-field production is undeniably historic. In his very first season at Madrid, he netted 31 La Liga goals to instantly claim the Pichichi Trophy. And moving into the 25-26 season, even through some massive managerial upheaval, he has remained just utterly lethal. We are talking 22 goals in just 21 league games, and a staggering 13 goals in 7 Champions League matches. The guy just produces, period.
And this brings us right back to his manager's philosophy. Deschamps reminds us that this very individualism, the exact thing the media constantly attacks, is the actual engine that makes Mbappe such a ruthless, world-class finisher. A striker simply needs a calculated level of selfishness. You have to demand the ball and take the shot when the pressure is at its absolute highest.
Which leads us to part four, the need for speed.
So we have to ask, why won't he just run those 11 kilometers on defense like everyone wants? Well, it all comes down to his physiological profile. He is built for extreme bursts of speed. Think of it like a car engine, right? You can't be a fuel-efficient commuter hybrid and a drag racing supercar at the exact same time. Demanding high-volume, box-to-box endurance running would literally rob him of the fast-twitch explosive power that he absolutely relies on to win matches.
Just look at how he stacks up globally. According to recent data for 2026, Mbappe is officially ranked as the absolute fastest footballer on the planet right now, clocking an unbelievable 38 kilometers per hour. To put that into perspective, that is literally fast enough to get a speeding ticket in a school zone. He is actively outpacing famously rapid defenders like Mickey Van de Ven and Kyle Walker. And that world record pace is exactly why his managers eagerly accept his lack of defensive tracking. It is a highly calculated tactical trade-off. Think about it. When his team wins the ball back, his ability to go from 0 to 38 kilometers per hour creates instant separation. It turns a standard defensive transition into an absolute nightmare for the opposing team.
And that brings us to our final section, Part 5, Chasing World Cup History.
Because all of this energy preservation, all of this highly specific, explosive training, it all leads directly into his ultimate focus right now. He enters the 2026 tournament with a jaw-dropping 55 international goals for France. No matter what noise is surrounding his club career, when he puts on that French kit, his dominance on the global stage is just undeniable.
And here is exactly why 2026 is so absolutely critical for him. He currently sits at 12 career World Cup goals. That puts him just 4 shy of tying the legendary Miroslav Klose's all-time record of 16. Just 4. Given his current form, completely shattering that record in North America is an incredibly realistic outcome.
I mean, just look at his resume on the sport's biggest stage so far. He was a world champion with 4 goals as a teenager back in 2018. He was the Golden Boot winner with 8 goals in 2022. And of course, we all remember that historic final where he scored a hat trick just to drag his team to a shootout. He is perfectly positioned to completely cement his legacy this summer.
So this brings us right back to our ultimate question. Will this whole paradox, the media's relentless, lazy narrative masking a perfectly tuned, explosive athletic machine, ultimately lead him to the absolute pinnacle of World Cup history? Could that preserved energy be the exact thing that allows him to score those 5 goals he needs to become the greatest in history? Well, we are just going to have to wait and find out.
That is all for today. We need to talk about that incredible match last night. It was absolute tactical perfection on the field. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel.